Ay today on Makayo Messenger. Welcome to Makayo Messenger. It's great to be with you as always. I hope you're having a wonderful day out there today. And boy, is this what you want coming into your living room? That's what I want to know. Is this what you're looking forward to? Because this is what they're putting out as the thing to desire there. Let me just check in on you guys for a second here and make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay, does that sound okay? Let me go over to where you guys are so I can just check in, make sure everybody's there. Hey, I want to give a special shout out and thank you so much for taking us to 16,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Praise the Lord. So thank you so much for your help there. And Jeannie says loud and clear, so that's all I need to see. Praise the Lord. Thank you so much, Jeannie. I appreciate that. So cool, guys. It's good to be with you. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about AI today. AI. And, when you look at this is what they're putting forth as the desirable. Okay, this, I'm giving them the advantage here, right? I'm trying to help them out here. Okay, now this is what they're putting forth as the most desirable robot you'd ever want to have in your life. And you tell me, would you feel safe with that in your house? I mean, would you? When I was a kid, I used to watch Star Wars, and I always got a kick out of Han Solo's character. He always was a little bit perturbed by the droids. He doesn't really like them too much, and was always kind of making fun of them and putting them in their place. And as a kid, you're like, oh, I love C-3PO, I love R2-D2, but when you actually think about it, and you're actually faced with having a droid or a robot inside of your home while you're sleeping, doing who knows what to you and to your family, you kind of think twice about that, actually. And I can kind of see where Han Solo was coming from there. In this movie, I, Robot, famously, Will Smith's character opens the movie chasing a robot down the street who's running with a purse in his hand. Right, and so he kind of looks like he's a purse thief or something, and so he's chasing after him. He's a police officer, and he's chasing after this robot. And of course, when you finally get there, it turns out it was a robot trying to help someone get their medication, right? And so, of course, Will Smith feels foolish, still kind of upset because he hates robots, but he's like, okay. And of course, he becomes the laughing stock of the office and so forth. And then as the movie progresses, well, his hunches turn out to be correct. There is actually a rogue robot who starts rebelling, but nobody wants to believe him, right? Because they know that, this guy just doesn't like robots. He's always making a big deal about these robots, and he's always attacking them. And so, it's cry wolf. So they don't really trust his instincts, even though they are correct. But it turns out in the movie, the way they portray it is that, it wasn't really the robot's fault. It was really the central computer who kept saying, my logic is undeniable. You may remember that line from the movie. But my logic is undeniable. And then from there, the robot, seems to get a conscience and says, my logic is undeniable. Yes, but it seems too heartless, is what he says in the movie. And it's like, the robot has a heart. Isn't that nice? And then, really, by the end of the movie, the robots win. It's one of those kind of a trick movie because you think, they conquered the robots, but not really. Not really. The robots actually win, and they go off and they start their own. Oh, yeah, this one too. Artificial intelligence is the future. I'm the future. Right, exactly. And so they go off and they start their own robot colony on the outskirts of town, and it's just a matter of time, of course, until they figure out we can get rid of these humans. We don't really need them, kind of as they do in this meme. I think might be another movie, but it says humans spend 9,490 days of their life sleeping. With that amount of time, we should be able to take over the world with no problem. Right? So that's where we're at now, right? Robots taking over the world. And ironically, with the help of psychotic humans, because that's how it always goes. The mad scientist is the one who destroys us all. And wouldn't you believe that this conference that we're going to talk about today, AI for Good, they call it, actually has the iRobot in the background there, or a version of him. Isn't that surprising? I didn't think so either. So what is this AI for Good? Okay, as you notice, I called the video AI for Bad. Because it is bad, but they're calling it AI for good. For good. What do they mean by that, AI for good? Well, let's talk a little bit about this summit. This took place this past month, but it affects you and I for good, as we shall see. But the 2023 AI for Good Global Summit aims to identify practical applications of artificial intelligence to accelerate progress towards. As if you were looking for progress towards these goals? Because that's what they want to do. I didn't think did they ask you if you wanted to do that? Did they ask you if you wanted to have AI robots in your house controlling your every move? Did they ask you, like, permanent, kind of police force inside your house made of robots? I don't know. I wasn't asked about that. It says to accelerate progress towards the SDGs and connect AI innovators with public and private, that's you and me, sector decision makers. That would be me. I'm actually the private decision maker of my life. How about you? Are you the private sector decision maker of your life? Because they seem to think they want to accelerate progress toward helping you scale AI solutions globally. That's right. So this whole kind of dystopian nightmare that they show at the end of iRobot here, they want to make that happen. Isn't that nice? They want to help the robots out. They want to give them like a jump start on that. Yeah, we're going to get you in every home, controlling every person, because that's what it's all about. So it's called the AI for Good Global Summit. And it took place in July, but like I say, it's actually continuing on. They're doing things in August here as well. The calendar goes on. So it kind of started in July, but it's still going. They got almost daily things that they're doing there on their calendar because they're all part of this AGENDA. Now, people are kind of make fun of me that I spell things and so on and so forth. It's like, well, here's my challenge. You go out, start a channel, start making videos on these topics, and see how it goes. And you'll quickly find out why I do that. But anyway, so somebody suggested maybe I use Pig Latin, so maybe I'll try that as well. I don't know if that'd be more confusing. But in any case, they have this plan that they want to accomplish by 2030. And so they're all on board with this plan. And so they've got daily things to do. So they have these events, yes, but in between, the calendar keeps going, and they're doing things on a daily basis. And of course, it incorporates this. Now, you may remember this from other videos we've talked about. These are the 17 goals that they are looking to implement or implementing, whether you like it or not. Of course, we don't like it, and we need to stand up against it if you want to do anything about it. But, I guess it's all part of the end times. So, obviously do your part, but we may not be here, hopefully, for most of this. But in any case, this is what their plan is, and this is what they're moving for, their 7-year plan that they're looking to accomplish. Now, it's called AI for Good. Well, you think that means, it's like a positive thing. Well, actually, the term for good means forever, ever, 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 definitively. You see, it's a play on words. AI for good, meaning like we're going to put AI in and you'll never get rid of it. It's for good. It's forever. The experience almost frightened me away for good. Yes, me too. So if you're feeling frightened away for good, let us be frightened away. Let's be snatched away for good so we don't have to deal with this AI for bad that they want to stick in our face. So here's the summit that they had. And this took place earlier last month, July. We're in August now. So here's just a few pictures from that summit, just so you can kind of get a flavor of what that was like. And it had all the usual suspects. All your favorite folks were there talking. As you notice, the ring of fire is always there on the screen, or ring of death, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure we'll have lots of names for it by the time it's all said and done. But there it is up there. And oh wow, look who's there on the screen. It's the head of the W to the H to the O. Wow. Oh, he's there? Really? Interesting. Because they're all on board. It's all one big plan. All these different meetings are not separate meetings. It's all one long year of meetings, and they're just kind of focusing on different things at each meeting. Here's the wonderful psychopathic misanthropes who are running this charade. And, of course, you have the head of the U to the N, fine gentleman there, and then the head to the W to the H to the O. And then, of course, you probably recognize this guy in the second row as well, Mr. Noah. Now, this is not the guy with the ark. He actually wants to do the opposite. He wants to kind of, as if the people that the flood was for won. That's what he's trying to do. So I thought it was interesting, this term. He's in charge of Sapienship. Sapienship. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Well, no, of course you haven't, because that's something he created, or those along with him. Sapienship. What a freaky title. What does that even mean? That sounds scary already. Sapienship? Like he's the guardian of sapiens? Yeah, basically. So what's a sapien? A sapien is a human, or it says a specimen of Homo sapiens. So you notice he didn't say Homo sapienship, because they don't believe in Homo sapiens or humans. They want to take you and turn you into something else. So sapienship, he's the guardian of sapiens. He's the architect, the mad mind behind what they want to do to sapiens. So here's humans. See, Homo sapiens is a term typically used for humans, right? But sapiens without the homo, so to speak, is something else entirely. So sapiens says of or relating to or being recent humans. See, I think that kind of defines it right there. They want to turn us into something where we'll say we were recently human. We're not human anymore, but recently we were humans. That's kind of what we're talking about here with these guys. So he's got a website actually called Sapienship here. This is his website. And it's a social impact company co-founded by this madman. Its main goal is to focus the public conversation on the most important challenges facing the world today, right? It's just kind of generic. But what does it really mean? Why would you call it Sapienship? This is a guy who hates human beings. He hates people. So it definitely has nothing to do with Homo sapiens, right? Has everything to do with the end of sapiens. That's what this guy wants to do. Explore the near future. Don't think I want to. I'm a little afraid to click on that button, but I did, of course. And it took us over to this lab. He actually has a lab, a Sapienship lab. Oh, yeah, because he's the mad doctor who's going to be operating on you and turning you into something else. They have the chimp there to say, soon could you beat him in a brain test? Not after we remove your brain. And then he's got this other links and things. I mean, I only clicked on one. I clicked on this one in the middle. It says to the police, because I thought, well, that kind of grabbed me. What's he telling about the police? And and then in that particular one, he's like, oh, yeah, we're going to put something in your car so that your car can turn you over to the police if you're doing anything that's a crime. Isn't that great? The thought police, the crime police, they are here, and this guy is helping to head it all up. Here's some of his quotes. The era of free will is over. Isn't that nice? He doesn't want you to have a choice. He doesn't want you to choose what you're going to do with your life. No, he wants to be in control of Sapienship. Where's the head of Sapienship? Take care of those sapiens, will you? Calm them down. We're really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We're really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. Ooh, it's alive! It's alive! These people are psychotic, okay? You have to understand. The people who've taken over the world are demented, deranged, and sad. And unfortunately, they happen to be wielding So it's time for us to stand up and say no, no more. Humans are now hackable animals. The whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and nobody knows what's happening inside them and they have free will, that's over. So this guy is the head of Sapienship, and these are his quotes. So what do you think you're going to look like by the time he's done with you? Well, probably similar to what this guy made people look like back in the second WAR. And also kind of a combination of this guy. He's also kind of a spokesman for the Times. And he even kind of looks like him, doesn't he? There's sort of a striking resemblance. I'm kind of wondering if there was some clone of the Ing going on here or some kind of reincarnation because, there's sort of a striking resemblance to these people, both inside and out. So here's the fine specimens that they want to introduce you to. I mean, doesn't this make you feel secure and comfortable? Doesn't this make you feel like, man, these are the people that are going to be running the world. AI is going to run the world, and this is what it looks like. Wow. Talk about scary. It's about as creepy as it gets. Is that Edward Scissorhands there in the middle? And then we've got, this is the runway models of AI. What are we looking at here? And they all just look so disturbing. You know, there's nothing appealing about this whatsoever. You know, when they talk about the zombie apocalypse, I kind of wonder if it's going to be AI robots who are taking over. Because, boy, they certainly look just as creepy. I mean, look at this. Look, it's just as creepy as a dead man walking. Wow. Yeah, that's who you want to entrust your life to. But my guess is they're going to blame these, they're going to blame AI. It's one more thing they can blame. It's kind of like the alien cover-up, It's one more thing they can blame all the problems on, and they come in as a savior and say, well, it was an AI mess-up. It wasn't our fault. We didn't do it. It was a rogue AI who took over and started attacking the world. Kind of like in iRobot, for example, so the rogue robot they can blame. But here they are, lined up for their school picture, and wow. And they're all women for some reason, except for one disgruntled Asian man sitting in the corner, and the head of another man. I mean, what are we supposed to make of this? I mean, this is what you're presenting at this conference? This is supposed to be impressing someone? Wow. Talk about ridiculous and scary all at the same time. Now, here's the table they had of heads sitting around talking to people, because that's what we all want, right? And now when you look here at this picture, it's perfect. It says right on her shirt, dictator. Isn't that perfect? Can you see that there? Let me see if I can get a little closer. Come a little bit closer, you're my kind of robot. Look at that, dictator. You see that on her shirt? So I thought that was pretty apropos, because that's who's going to be in your living room dictating your life. Oh, we've delivered your robots. You must now do everything it says. Here is your dictator. Wow, so how appropriately named. Very interesting. So, here they are kind of getting their rock band going. And, of course, I couldn't help but hearken back to the wonderful days of Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, that's basically what we're talking about. We're talking about animatronic dolls or mannequins running your life. Isn't that what you always wanted? Isn't that the nightmare you never want to wake up from? Isn't that awesome? Wow. Yeah. I mean, boy, look at the eyes on these guys. I mean, that's what's going to be staring you in the face every day with the AI takeover. Very exciting. Oh, look. And then they even came out with a video game and a movie to just show how fun and kind they really are. So, it's like the Muppet Show, kind of. Kind of reminds me of it's time to start the party. It's time to have some fun. Tonight. So, yeah, very interesting. So, I want to give some shout-outs to Mr. Craig Bong and Carla over at Ecru Symphony. I always love talking to intelligent, thoughtful people who are great sounding boards, and it was great talking to them, and they helped inspire some of my thoughts I'm going to share with you here, and I'm going to share a couple things that they mentioned as well. So appreciate them. Be sure to check out their channels also. So check this video out, okay? So let's talk about these 17 sustainable goals from the standpoint of ghouls, maybe I'll call them. The 17 suspicious ghouls. that they want to implement from an AI perspective. Okay, this is what's coming into your life, if they have their way. Okay, I would say no. Let's not let them do that. But and that's what we should say. But if they have their way, and they're so far having their way, this is what they're pushing through. So this is what we have to start standing against and do our part. Whether we're here or not to enjoy it, we at least have to speak up for behalf of the people who will be here, trying to protect the other folks as well. So anyway, so he introduces this. He says, together we use artificial intelligence and to enhance human dignity. Right. So isn't that interesting? We use artificial intelligence. It's like an oxymoron, right? We use artificial intelligence to enhance human dignity. Well, how are you going to enhance anything human with something artificial, right? It's already a contradiction in and of itself. And serve the global good, not your good, not your personal good. No, we're going to send these robots out everywhere because they want to put robots everywhere so they can control you. That's what it's all about. It's all about the global good that has nothing to do with your personal good. So here's their 17 AI goals, okay? So let's take a look at these, shall we? So number 1, no poverty. The AI to map poverty for predictive analytics. So basically, they're going to have AI know exactly what everyone's making. They're going to know all your salaries, what you're earning, and so on and so forth. And they say, hey, you know what? This guy has less than you do. We're going to take some from you and we're going to give it to him. Because the AI is now controlling your bank account, right? There's no cash anymore. It's all internal and digital. So they're now going to take your cash and they're just going to even it out. I'm sure they'll probably take it for themselves, really. But that's what they'll tell you. Anyway, so you've got the AI controlling poverty. Isn't that nice? Okay, let's see what the next one is. Okay, AI to increase agricultural productivity. So again, the AI will say, sorry, farmers, you can't farm freely. We have to be more productive. So we're going to take over your farm now, and we're going to control what grows there and what's in what you grow there, and whether it's actually real or artificial or synthetic and so forth. We'll take care of all that. Okay, number 3 says AI to analyze vast amounts of healthcare data. Oh, isn't that great? They're going to be in your personal healthcare data. Wow. So HIPAA laws, they don't mean anything, right? So they're going to be digging right into your goodies, getting to know you really well. So they can push you on those pressure points. Oh, you got a bad knee. Oh, you have a bad kidney. Oh, you have a bad this. Oh, it's good to know that. That's useful information for a dictator to control you, right? And to manipulate you and maybe use drugs or that you need to get or medical of the help that you need to get. As a bargaining chip, as a way to kind of have you on the leash. So they're going to have all your data and all the control. And if they say, I'm sorry, you have something terminal, we can't afford, the world can't afford that right now. You're just going to have to go into a sleep pod and never wake up, like they're already doing in Canada. This one, number 4, AI to revolutionize classrooms with individualized learning. Isn't that good that AI will be brainwashing your children? Isn't that exciting? I mean, forget homeschooling your kids or, actually having a say in what your kids are learning and reading. Instead, no, they'll be brainwashed to accept the cult teaching. So that's really comforting to know. Number 5, AI to pinpoint gender inequity and drive balanced hiring. Right, so you don't hire people anymore based on their capabilities of doing the job. It's all based on quote-unquote gender, but we know they've already destroyed that because they're calling one gender another gender. So basically, they're getting rid of women altogether. Women just won't even exist anymore because the men are taking over all the women roles, right? So they're just playing that game of forcing their plans of who you're going to be hiring at your company, but it's all for the better good, of course. AI to improve efficient, clean water provision, right? Not for you. You won't be getting clean water. You'll be getting whatever comes out of the, but the reason you're getting swamp water is because there's other people who are suffering, i.e. the dictators, and they want to have the best water. So they can't give it all to you, They can't control you that way if they give you really good water. AI to improve photovoltaic energy capture. Right. So solar panels. So basically, they're going to put you on. They're going to control you. They can control your electricity this way, right? So you're not just going to get. They can just turn your electricity off. Sorry, there's not enough solar energy. We can't use that fossil fuel anymore. So we're going to have to use. And the sun didn't come out enough, I guess. So you won't be cooking dinner tonight, or have any heat during the winter. AI to improve productivity through intelligent automation. In other words, you're out of a job. Isn't that great? Yeah, because AI can do it. I mean, you looked at that fine bunch there. Well, let's take a look at that bunch again, because they were really, they were something to behold. Where are they? Oh yeah, these guys. These guys they'll have your job. Well, I mean, you could put your trust in him, and that guy too. He'll have your job. He'll have another job. But Chuck E. Cheese and the gang, they'll be doing all the jobs now, and you'll be gone. Isn't that great? So basically unemployment for everyone, because we don't need you to work anymore. We're just going to lock you down. We'll put a robot in your house and lock you down and starve you to death. That's probably what will end up happening for most people. 95%, they say. So AI to help drive industry innovation. I thought this was kind of ironic, because you've got the car there, right? And it kind of takes you back to the Model T, back when man could kind of innovate and originate and start their own company and start from scratch and come up from nothing and build something. Isn't it perfect? Poetic justice that what started with Henry Ford and the assembly line and people working and putting things together turns into a bunch of robots doing everything for you, even driving your car for you. Isn't that great? And they'll crash into that tree. But, it was a malfunction. It wasn't anybody's fault. AI to build a more inclusive society with disability robots. Oh, that's great. So then again, they'll be in your home controlling you. I'm sorry, you're disabled. You can't go out now. Oh, I feel fine. No, you don't. You don't feel fine. You're going to have to go back to bed. You can't leave the house. So the disability robots will make sure that if you're not already disabled, they'll probably help disable you and then keep you in that disabled state. Very kind of them. AI to power urban planning decisions through sensor data. Oh, great. So there's going to be sensors everywhere on everything you do. Everywhere you go, there'll be a sensor that tells you if you're doing something good or doing something bad. You're using too much carbon credits. So, you can't keep doing that. Sorry. So, the AI is there to power that urban planning decisions. Oh, man, through that sensor data that will be everywhere where you go, all those sensors, and your face will be posted up. If you're not if you're not living up to your standards, I'm sure they'll put your face up on the poster and publicly shame you and worse, like they did in 1984 and other places like that. Okay, what's the next one? 12, AI to predict optimum production levels to reduce waste. Oh, that's perfect. Right, you're eating too much. You're using too much. I'm sorry, you can't have that. You already bought a bed last year. You can't buy another one. You can't have, a lazy boy and a couch. I mean, come on. Now you're really pushing it. No, you can't have a bigger couch. We've given you the couch that is the perfect size for a 6-family home or two. I'm sorry, we don't allow 6-member homes anymore. What am I, crazy? A 2-member home plus half a child, I think is what you allowed. And so to reduce that waste, we're just going to have to monitor that, and we'll monitor those production levels, and we'll keep the production levels down in the factories too, so there won't be enough to go around. The long lines for the toilet paper and stuff like that, that's just the beginning. Okay, an AI to model climate change to predict disasters. Oh, great, they're predicting disasters, which means we can keep you in a constant state of fear, constantly worrying about what might happen, and then we help to produce those things through the weather of the modification, and we make those happen to kind of prove that what we're saying is true, and then we can use that to keep you in a permanent state of fear and permanently in your home, really more like a ghetto, more like a CAMP, where we re-educate you and basically eliminate you. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But, it'll take a little bit to get to that point. Maybe. We'll see. AI to track illegal fishing. Oh, that's good. So, when you're just trying to feed your family and go out and catch fish, we'll make sure that never happens. because that'd be too easy. You could actually stay alive that way. You could go out and live in the forest. You could try to get off the grid and go support yourself and live off the land. And so we can't have you doing that. So we'll make sure AI, drones, and so forth are flying through the forest, finding people who might be illegally feeding themselves by catching fish, and make sure that never happens. And we do it on the land too. Oh yeah, AI to outwitch poachers and monitor species health. So they'll accuse you of one or the other. So you're out there hunting, trying to, again, feed your family or something like that because you're living off the grid, trying to survive during the apocalypse. They'll send out the AI to take care of you and either deem you a poacher, or they'll say, it's the species health. It's just, it wouldn't be right if you, had to eat chicken tonight. Okay, and then what's this? AI to reduce discrimination and corruption in government. Oh, isn't that great? Because, we can trust these guys, right? We can trust, the people who program these AI. I mean, guys like that Noah, he just loves people. Obviously, he loves those sapiens. So we can trust these guys to reduce discrimination. They're obviously going to be fair. Their quote-unquote discrimination and the corruption. I'm sure they'll really deal with that because you can see it being dealt with now so well. So, wow, can't wait till computers are in charge of that. It's going to get even better. AI to empower essential multi-stakeholder partnerships. See, if you sign on with them, you get certain perks, like you get to eat today. You didn't sign on? Well, sorry. We can't give you any food. You'll have to go scrounge from some scraps in the garbage can. But you get a crust of bread because you signed on to do this. So that's kind of the how AI is going to be implementing this. And we're going to talk a little bit about their wonderful logo here, which is kind of intriguing as well. So this may look familiar to you. Then again, it may not. What is this? What are we looking at here? Well, it looks to me like it's a white dot on a red background. And for all intents and purposes, that's what it is. But if you lived back during the second WAR, you may, and if sadly you lived in Europe, especially in the, shall I say, Germanic territories, you probably saw this a lot. And in the middle of that white circle was another symbol that, for obvious reasons, I'm not posting here. But I think we probably all know what that symbol is and was. And flags have a power, right? When you put a flag, like when the country comes and puts a flag, or a nation or a group, they put a flag, or they force you to fly a flag or put a flag on your home or office. If you ever saw The Sound of Music, he was forced to put the flag. How come you don't have the flag up on your house? So it basically says you've been conquered. That's what the flag represents. We have conquered you. And people saw that little insignia in the middle, and they just got so sick of seeing it that now it represents something so evil that no one wants to see it. Well, here is an example of what they call the broken cross, an upside-down cross, then turned into a quote-unquote peace sign. Now, if you just looked at a peace sign, didn't know about that history, to the pure, all things are pure. You just say, hey, well, I think it's a peace sign. It feels peaceful, or what have you. But this is supposedly how it came about, as a broken cross. And the idea of broken peace, perhaps, the idea is we're trying to create peace. So there's broken. So maybe it came even out of some good intentions. I'm not trying to judge whoever created it. Who knows? But the point is, there can be symbolism in things that we don't even realize, right? That's behind it. And so here's another one, an example of a flag that's used to dominate. And sadly, it's using something that God gave to everybody as a sign of his love and a sign of his grace, his mercy, that he would not bring a flood on the earth again for the sins, ironically, that now they use this to support. Now I know some argue, well, this is 6 colors, the other one has 7, and so forth. But let's just get real; it's a rainbow. But in any case, it's saying a lot, in the conquering, because it's saying we even have your rainbow, we even got the covenant of God, and we're misusing and abusing that. So flags, again, have a power, right? It's a power. And so why am I bringing this up? Because I think what we're going to see, they've conquered. We dominate. It even dominates over the American flag here. It's in the center, right? It's in the center. It's one. And so I think what's going to happen is basically the same way that you feel about the symbol that would be inside of this white circle, right? Back in the day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up flags from the second WAR of the Germanic territories, and I think you'll figure out what I'm talking about there. I think we're going to feel probably the same very soon about this symbol here. This symbol is going to become perhaps even worse because it's going to be omni-oppressive. It's going to be oppressive of the whole world, not even just a certain group of people, but all people will be oppressed by this. So notice they use happy colors like you're in grade school. Like, isn't that nice? It's like finger paints, Yeah, we can paint with this. It looks like a paint palette, like I'll just paint a little bit and it'll be all better in the morning, right? So they want to kind of, schmooze you. They're coming in, remember, the Bible's very clear that Satan will deceive you, right? And he will masquerade as an angel of light, and that he is going to deceive many, and he's going to force this upon you. It's not something you're going to willingly sign up for and say, yeah, that sounds great. But most people will think it's great because, again, all those 17 things I just looked at, they're, I interpreted them the way they will actually be, but they're presenting them like these are good things. And for the average clueless person, they're going to be like, oh yeah, sounds good. What's wrong with that? Oh, I like that, right? And all you have to do is sell your soul, sell your birthright for a bowl of soup. That's all you have to do, right? So I think in time, this symbol is going to become this. This may even be the mark of the beast, or part of it that goes on the hand and the forehead. Now, there will be more to the mark of the beast. I know people brought up, what about the poison and stuff? It's a package deal, guys. It's all a package deal. Yes, it'll be inside of you. It'll be outside of you. It'll be all right. But we know biblically it's going to be on your hand and forehead. And I think they will do that anyway, just to be, because, yes, they could be monitoring you inside, but they might not want you to know that. So for their purposes to say, everyone has to have it on their hand or their forehead, and everybody will just kind of assume, okay, are you part of the club? So it's part of a group thing. Back during the second WAR, again, I'm not going to show you images right now, but they would put symbols on the people representing what they considered to be their sin or their crime, right? They put a symbol on them, whether it was, for example, the Jewish star has famously been put on people, or triangles of different colors, and so on and so forth. Very similar to this, very, very similar. And you had to wear this wherever you went, right? You could not function in society if you didn't wear that. So basically, you were branded, similar to how you brand a cow or something. And I think this may be the brand that everybody is going to have physically on them, in addition to whatever they do internally to you and in other ways. But this could be it, a version of this. So something to look forward to there. But they are already doing their flag campaign. They've already started because they know that flags say, we've conquered you. And so they're getting out there already and conquering people with their flags. Now, isn't this interesting, that the design they chose for this? It's identical to this, right? With the exception of the colors, right? But it's identical to this. What is this? This is the Japanese rising sun flag. It's a time when they were under the emperor. So we're going back to a time of being under an emperor, and so they're using emperor flags already. Isn't that interesting? There's another example of that with the U to the N in the center. Oh, but it looks so happy. Just like the rainbow flag looks so happy, right? It's not about oppression. It's not about attacking or suppressing, right? It's got to be all good stuff. And they sell it to you that way. I mean, even the symbol that right now is loathed perhaps by many, that was inside the circle, that symbol is still used in religion, in Eastern religion today, right? So, and even it was even used by some Byzantine and Christian churches back in the day, believe it or not, as a sort of a broken cross. So, yeah, I mean, they took it what was a positive symbol. They didn't see it as a negative symbol. The people who put this together, they saw it as a positive symbol, right? That was a positive symbol that they wanted to get out. So here's their flag campaign. Let me back it up here a second. Okay, so obviously UN, but here's the actual flag campaign. On September 23rd of 2022. So, September 23rd. Wow. Isn't that perfect? Where a lot of us are looking at September 23rd this year. Isn't that interesting? So September 23rd of 2022. Okay, so last year, 1 year to the date. A lot of us are looking forward to this year as let's just say as the end of the summer, the equinox. But other things may occur. But in that window over there, we're looking in September. 200 flags were raised across the UK by 97 different organizations to mark the 7-year anniversary. Ooh, that's interesting. So they considered September 23rd their 7-year anniversary. Or, I mean, well, I shouldn't say they considered it, but it says they did it on that day to mark the 7-year anniversary. So isn't that interesting? Of all days to choose. Of the U to the N, sustain of the bull, develop of the mint, goals, or also known as SD to the Gs, and spread awareness of these ghouls. Okay, so, wow. So with a flag you conquer, right? With a flag you conquer. So here they are putting out the flags everywhere. Yay, I'm so happy. I don't even know what I'm happy about. I'm just happy. Yay. And that's basically how everybody's going to feel. Oh, it looks colorful. It looks fun. Who wouldn't want to put this lovely flag up, right? Because we're together for the ghouls. And here's the kiddos. Get them while they're young, Avita. Get them while they're young. So, there's the kids putting it up. And again, it's how you got the kids with the rainbow flag, too. Because, I mean, what kid doesn't like a rainbow? A rainbow is like a fun, because it's a beautiful thing that God created that's being defiled, So, okay, here it is again, like, well, yeah, let's put it up with the workers. Yeah, the workers are together. We're together for the ghouls. Sounds great. And here's more kiddos. Looks like a scout troop or something putting it up. Isn't that nice? And here they out on the streets. Yeah, man, it's cool. It's hip. Yeah, we're selling our souls to the devil. That's right. I mean, who wouldn't want to take a mark to support that? This is going to bring the whole world together. It's going to finally be the one world we've all dreamed of, the utopia. Well, that's what Jesus, guys. You're only going to get the utopia of Jesus. This is called dystopia, masquerading as an angel of light. But yeah, there it is. So their flag campaign has already begun, a year to the date of September 23rd. That's interesting in and of itself. Wow. So there you go. So the flags continue. Okay, so we're going to get back to AI in a second here. I'm kind of taking you through symbolism a little bit. I'm teaching a little bit about symbolism because it ties back into this AI symbol. Okay, so I haven't totally left the reservation here. You know me with tangents, but I am going somewhere with this. So as you notice in this flag, they bring the pyramid back into it. Okay, the pyramid always plays a role with these guys. They always work the pyramid back in. So there's the pyramid being worked back in. Now, this is over on Insta of the Gram. They also have a channel on You to the Tube. And you can look at all these different 17 goals, but just to show you this. So here's the first one that we talked about. And look what the symbol is that pops up, okay? So you've got this pyramid, essentially. And Craig pointed out that it has no capstone on the top. So you just think it's a clever way to have an A, but actually it's a pyramid. And what's interesting about it is you've got an arrow in the middle of that pyramid. And, when you think of pyramids, well, what comes to mind with no capstone? All you got to do is look at the back of your dollar bill and you'll see that one real fast. And you'll wonder, as we all have done, why is that on there? Well, it's because my friend, my child, this all started a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No, it started right here in this galaxy, right here on planet Earth in the Garden of Eden. But Satan has been trying to take over since it all began. And as you notice underneath, it says Novus Ordo Seclorum, or New Order of the World. So that is what they're talking about. But isn't it interesting? Why are they using this pyramid without the capstone, or the floating capstone with an eyeball in the center of it. We could spend a lot of time just on that, but I want to talk briefly about when this was instituted. So mysteriously, this started appearing on the back of dollar bills in 1935 is when this pyramid appeared. And again, it ties back to this AI and why they're using a pyramid with no capstone on it, okay? So don't lose me now, okay? This is important. So 1935, okay, that's when it first started appearing. Now, what's interesting is it is said that the U.S. actually became a of the Asian back in the day. That technically, if you go to United of the States of the Code and look up title of the 28 of the 3002, 15 A, B, and C, you will find evidence that the country we're called America is actually or became a corporation, that it's not actually a nation. It's actually a business owned by a bunch of bankers. Now, you can check that out for yourself. I'm not claiming that is the case. I plead the fifth. But in any case, that's what happened. Now, when did this happen? Okay. Well, what's interesting is it talks about 1933 as a pivotal year. Now, as we know, the Great Depression took place following the great stock market crash of 1929. There was a Great Depression that followed. That's why you don't hear much about the 1930s, is because nobody really wants to talk about that, because the 1930s is when the Great Depression took place. And interestingly, says the U.S. is bankrupt has been since 1933, which makes sense, when they talk about Fort Knox being empty and so forth, that there's no gold and, your dollars are just paper. They're not really backed by anything. It used to be they were backed by gold and silver and so forth, but not anymore. So it's what they call fiat currency, that it really doesn't have any value beyond what a piece of paper would. So anyway, it's a whole system based on trust. It's a system based on agreement. Like, we all agree that we're gonna use this piece of paper to make exchanges and so forth. But as soon as the people behind that collapse, everything collapses. So it's a house of cards, basically. So since 1933, they say they've been bankrupt, okay? Now, what's interesting is that then there was what's called the bank. I don't know is it in this page? Let me see. The banking, was it here? Hold on 1 second. I think it's here. But basically, there was the Banking Act. I know. I was looking at it over on. If you look up the Great Depression, on Wikipedia. I think I might have closed that already. But basically, in 1935, the same year that the pyramid with the missing capstone began to appear on the dollar, is the same year that they had the Banking Act that took place. And here it is, the emergency banking. Now this one says 1933, but that's a different one. I suppose I could open it, huh? Let me see. Let me just show you this real quick. Great Depression. Great Scott. And let me tell you, it wasn't that great. Okay, just in case you were wondering, it wasn't great. Ask anybody who was there; they would not say it was great. But it was great in terms of its magnitude, of course. Magnitude. Okay, so 1935. Okay, so 1935. Let me just show you this real quickster. The Banking Act of 1935. One contributing policy of the reverse reflation was the Banking Act of 1935, which effectively raised reserve requirements, causing monetary contraction and helped to thwart the recovery. So you say, well, what got them back on their feet? Well, here's how they do it, guys, and this is exactly what's happening again now, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because, well, it's one of the reasons, because that's exactly what they're manufacturing a collapse is what's happening right now. There's no need to really collapse. There's no need to be in a WAR with Russia or anybody else. they are manufacturing a collapse. That's what's happening right now. So they did the same thing there in 1929, arguably. And who came in to save the day? Well, the people who love pyramids with no capstone, you see. So it was all part of the plan so that they could take over. And so it's argued at that time that the U.S. ceased to be really the U.S. It became this corp of the Asian. And then the bankers took over from there. So just a little bit of history for you there. But it kind of makes sense why the pyramid with no capstone on it then suddenly appeared on the banknotes, because it's like, we own you now. We own you now. Just want to let you know. Because they always like to let you know, right? They always broadcast it somehow. So they just want you to know we're in charge. So that's how that all rolled. So speaking of the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza, it's missing a capstone, right? That's, of course, where this all comes from, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, Carla, our local Great Pyramid expert, has been sharing a lot of great things about me with me about the Great Pyramid. So anyway, but it currently has no capstone on it, right? And that's the deal with the actual Great Pyramid. Has no it's missing. They don't really know what happened to it. Now, there's a lot of theories about the Great Pyramid itself, and about why it's missing and so forth. Was it gold and other things like that? But just wanted to share that with you. Now, a couple more interesting thoughts about the Great Pyramid that Carla shared with me here is it's an interesting mirror inside. They call it Khafre's tomb, but it's an interesting mirror to the Holy of Holies, the most holy place, Solomon's temple. And if you compare the two to each other, now this is inside the Great Pyramid here, it's very similar, that it has this big room, the Holy of Holies, and they have a smaller room, the Holy Place, and so forth. So it's very similar in its design, you could argue, to Solomon's temple, and even really going back to the Age of Tabernacles with Moses. And so one could wonder, is there a connection there? Now, Carla will give you lots of information on that if you want to talk to her more about that. She knows much more about all the connections perhaps to even Jesus and God and so forth. Even just from a, just from a secular standpoint, you could say, well, did Moses ever go into the Great Pyramid? Did they ever have access to that while they were in Egypt? Did they ever visit these pyramids if they were there at that time? Is that where some of the design may have been inspired from as well, and God maybe wanted him to shape it in the same way? It's there's a lot of interesting theories there. Again, I say talk to Carla about that because she's the expert, but just found that kind of intriguing, to say the least, that there's sort of a mirror there of what's going on inside the Great Pyramid. There's also other measurements in there that are very interesting and match up with things about Jesus and so forth, so I encourage you to check that out. Now, she also shared this with me about the cornerstone. Okay, now what we're talking about again in this, just to keep us on point here, the AI symbol they're using is a pyramid with missing capstone. Okay, so that's why we're discussing the possible connections. Okay, so we have this capstone here, what could be a cornerstone here. There's this stone inside the pyramid that is kind of broken in two, and on one side of it, it has what some have argued to be a double rainbow, perhaps representing God's covenant. Again, we're going back to the rainbow. Now you notice in the flags, they use the rainbow, as we already know. And in this new symbol, they essentially use another form of the rainbow, right? Is what we're seeing there when we look at the AI symbolism. So again, what is the rainbow? The rainbow is a covenant. And what is this Antichrist doing? He's confirming a covenant. Of course, it's the devil's covenant. But the devil is always masquerading as angel of light. He's always imitating God in everything that he does, including in making covenants. So if he's going back to the time of Noah, as Jesus himself says, we're going to look at it in a second, the days of Noah. So it's like the covenant of Noah, this connection with the rainbow and so forth. And so here in Psalms and elsewhere through the Bible, we see this term capstone being used. The stone the builders rejected has become the capstone, right? And we know that that's Jesus Christ ultimately. He is the cornerstone, right? As it's talked throughout the Bible. Cornerstone, capstone are interchangeable and synonymous because it's a corner. It can be used both in a corner of a foundation, for two walls, but it can also be the pinnacle as well. Can be considered a cornerstone or capstone. But again, Jesus even quotes himself, haven't you read the scripture? The stone you builders rejected has become the capstone. So what's interesting about this whole connection with the AI symbol, and what's this one say? Oh, okay. Well, here's another thought on this capstone, and then I'll go back to the AI symbol. But the other thought here is in Daniel 9, and I've talked about this in the past, but when it talks about him confirming a covenant with many for 1/7, middle 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple, or the wing of the temple, it sometimes says, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation. And we talked before how this word is kanap, which can mean corner or pinnacle, right? So it's very interesting because it's like, it harkens back to the Great Pyramid missing this capstone, and then when we think about the temple, now, Carla might present an argument that says that the Great Pyramid was of a temple origin. It was a foreshadowing, I think, is what is her take on it. Again, don't quote me on that. Talk to her about it, but kind of a foreshadowing to what God was going to do later on. I mean, God has always had an interesting relationship with Egypt. You got to admit, He's always calling His son out of Egypt. He sent Joseph and Jacob and their family to Egypt. He sent Jesus to Egypt. There's something there with Egypt that's very compelling. But in any case, it can mean corner. Okay, this word kanap, see corner. So it's talking about the abomination of desolation. Now, of course, that's the Antichrist. He's going to set up his abomination on the corner or the capstone. It can also mean the pinnacle. See here, the pinnacle, right? That's the top of the temple, right? See pinnacle, the word pinnacle. So, it's very on the edge or the extremity. So it could be on the top of the building or the top of the pyramid, you want to say, or the corner, the capstone, that this abomination is going to be set up. So it's very interesting that they have this pyramid with no capstone, as if it's waiting for the abomination to be completed. So here's another example of it. There you can see the pyramid design there with the arrow in the middle. Now, what does the arrow in the middle mean? Is that because it's talking about the Holy of Holies inside of the pyramid, like we just looked at? Could it be it's pointing up? Is it pointing at the capstone? Like, hint, hint. You see that there's missing a capstone? Did you catch that? Like, it's got the arrow pointing up to where the capstone's missing. Is it pointing up because it's pointing towards God, towards heaven? And that's where Satan's trying to go? Very interesting to consider. And I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments on why it may be that way. The other thing she brought up is the eye kind of looks like Solomon's pillar. Now, Solomon purportedly left pillars to represent where the flood took place. And so you've got the A that says the pyramid and the pillar, which could actually be the pillars of Solomon. So that was also a great insight that Carla shared. Okay, let's continue here, shall we? Okay, so here, AI for good. Yeah, AI for good, man. Like, you're going to be stuck with it forever. And they give out the X Prize, it says here, the X Prize. What's the X Prize? Sounds kind of intriguing now, especially considering we know recently this man, now, okay, X Prize. See, it says X Prize, where X Prize wildfire launches. Explore our domains. A global future positive movement of over 1 million people and rising, a trusted, proven platform for impact that leverages the power of a competition. So I guess they give prizes, fabulous prizes if you sell your soul to the devil. So it's going to be the same thing. You can't buy or sell. So it's already building those prizes in, like, if you give into this, if you do more for this, so they're training you, the Pavlovian reflex, they're training you with the treats so that you will, just like your dog, you train him with the treat, right? They're training you with the treats to get you to buy in to their carbon neutral agenda, right? So so the incentives, they're incentivizing here. But now what's also interesting with this X Prize is recently we saw this change, right? Over with the little Tweety bird. It's not a Tweety bird anymore. And I thought this was interesting because when you put these two together, you get this. So if you double that and you put that together, you get that. And what is that? Well, that seems a lot like this. If you can see that, let me remove this here. Even has the little line on the square there. So you know how one line is thicker with the little line going through it? Almost like two X's that are next to each other, right? You see that? You see the kind of the connection there? And then you just add a little G, and it's all complete, right? Like two X's coming together. So, I mean, if it wasn't enough that he wore the Baphomet outfit on Halloween, I think we're starting to see this guy's true colors, are we not? I think that's coming clear. And he happens to be a guy who's big on AI and big on, so is the X Prize something he's up to? He wants X behind everything, right? With SpaceX and so forth. So is that something he's participating in? Many have pegged MUSK as being a contender for Antichrist. Well, there are many Antichrists. That's what we got to remember from 1 John. So it's not that Mr. O and Mr. T are out of the loop. I mean, they all have they're all playing their part. Don't worry. But he certainly seems to be as well. So something to consider there. Metatron. What's that you say? Did you say Megatron? Megatron. Transformers more than mainstream. No, not Megatron. Metatron. Metatron. I mean, it sounds like something out of a Transformers movie. But no, it was the name of an angel, supposedly. I could still be in the name of an angel. But an angel who's portrayed in different religions, in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they claim. Now, he's not in the Bible. Okay, I'll tell you that much. But they say it's in the Jewish Apocrypha, early Kabbalah, and it's the name that Enoch received after his transformation into an angel, according to the Apocrypha and the Kabbalah. So I'm not promoting this as a fact of anything. I'm simply saying there's something to consider here with what I'm about to share. Okay. Based from their perspective, not from my perspective, but trying to understand them and the way they think. Okay, so here's this Metatron. So why am I bringing up Metatron? It's not so that you'll transform into Megatron. No, there's something called the Metatron's cube. The Metatron's cube. And so I was looking at this symbol, right, of the AI. And let me go back there for just not that one, but let me go back. AI for good. Okay, so I was looking at this and I was saying, why did they come up with this circle? What's this circle all about? Why are there 17 points in it? Right? I mean, that's a lot of points, right? They could have made it the 10 Commandments. They could have done 6, or they could have done 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6. Maybe that's what they're pointing to with 17 plus 1. We're waiting for the Antichrist, and that'll make 18, and we'll have our 666. So something to consider there. So I was thinking, well, where is this symbol coming from? So Metatron has this cube, okay? And it's got 6 notable circles around it. And kind of thought, that's kind of interesting. Is there some connection? I think somebody brought this up in the comments, so I appreciate whoever brought that up in the comments. Thank you for sharing that. They just mentioned Metatron's cube. I looked it up. I said, that's really interesting. And I was wondering, could there be any connection here? Now, if you look closely at this cube, you will see it's got 6 circles. So you don't even have to, but if you kind of back off from it, actually, you can kind of see in the middle of it a Jewish star. Now, there's always a connection with the Jews, when it comes to these end times. As you notice, everything's landed on a Jewish feast day, from the crowning to now we're coming up to the fall holidays and so forth. I mean, it always works out that way. It's been working out that way for years. They always plan it like that because they think they get power from that, maybe, and to defile those days for the devil. There's lots of reasons, but in any case, you've got this 6-pointed star, right? Famously known as the Star of David, or the Jewish star that you see on the flag in Israel and so forth. And there's a lot. I was digging into the history of this, and I was going to go in deeper on that, but I'm not going to do that right now. Just kind of give you that. But isn't this interesting? I thought, that's kind of interesting. So you've got the two triangles overlapping, which was used a lot in the second WAR. They always use these triangles, but then for the Jews, they use two triangles or two pyramids or capstones, if you will. You notice it's a capstone with the eye, right? It's the same thing that you see on the back of the dollar bill. So I found that kind of compelling also. So I found this image and almost looked like a Metatron cube in the middle. Now I didn't make this. This is something they made, right? So I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So it's like a Metatron cube, and instead of 6 points, they got 17 points in the Metatron cube. I don't want to call it cube. It looks more like a sphere, but in any case, that's what they call it. I guess because what you have inside the Metatron cube is what's called sacred geometry, where you have cubes and you have different shapes inside of it. So perhaps that's why they call it that way. I didn't dig too deeply on it, but isn't that interesting? So, could that be playing a role? But I think it may even be simpler than that. So take a look at this picture. All right, and you've got this finger pointing and kind of glowing in the center, almost like it's directing you to look at the center. Look at the center, like it's pointing, literally pointing to it, like it's pressing a button, but it's also pointing, right? So it's kind of like the center of a black hole or the center of, space. Like, what is it pointing at? Why is it drawing our attention to the center? This almost looks like the game of life I played when I was a kid. Don't you remember that game, the game of life? And it had these colors in it, and it had like a circle you go around. And it even had like a knob in the middle, I think, that you spin. I think the spinner was like this or something. And you spin the middle of it, and it points to the next thing. I mean, they're literally making it the game of life. Like, this is your new life. You're now living a board game, and we're in control. We're the game masters, and we're going to tell you what to do and what not to do. Man, it's so crazy. But here's another example of that. Where they're kind of, the finger is pointing to the middle, like, ooh, this is what it's all about. And you've got these panels kind of going around. And I thought, oh, that looks familiar. So I went back to their website here, and they say AI for Good Gateway. Okay, they call this little circle here because it's only on this page, right? This page is literally called the Gateway page. If you look up in the I don't know if you can see it there. Maybe drag it down. I'll show you that. I'll show you. It's right there. But if you see right there in the address bar, you'll see Gateway. Right? It's called the Gateway. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So they're calling this circle a gateway, the AI for Good Gateway. These 17 goals. And I thought, AI, gateway, what are we really talking about here? Well, what came to mind was Stargate, right? Stargate. And what's interesting is Stargate is it's actually like water they're going through, similar to our firmament study we just did with Nikola Tesla. They're actually going through their firmament into another world, right? It's a watery penetrating. Gee, I wonder, was this based on knowledge of what the firmament is like? Is that what they did in this movie? Why they chose to use this blue water, like the blue sky, that they actually can pass through into another land, like we're trying to do, we're gonna do, God willing, when we go to heaven. But what they're trying to do, they're trying to break through the firmament. So that's kind of interesting. And then I looked at more of their posters, and I thought, wow, look at this. It's a person passing through the gateway. And you see like the water bubbles, like their face is kind of like water bubbles disintegrating. It's almost like the singularity of passing from the sapiens, passing from human into their dark dystopia future that they want, versus what we want to do is pass through the gateway into heaven, right? So very interesting that they would use it like that. Well, it didn't take much more to make the connection to this, right? I mean, does that not look exactly like it? So what we're looking at here, this is the Hadron Collider at CERN. And it's been rumored for a long time, and perhaps even with some evidence, that they are trying to break through to another world. Break on through to the other side. Break on through. Wow. Oh, yeah. So they're trying to break on through to the other side here to open a portal, if you will, to another world using CERN. Now, they say they're just smashing atoms and things like that. It's like, I don't think you're spending all that money, all that land, make it that big just to smash a few atoms. Because we want to look at them. But I think there's a little bit more to it than that. And they seem to reveal that that is the case as well, that they are breaking through to another world, another realm. And so when I looked at these pictures, I thought, wow, this looks a lot like what we're looking at in those 17 goals. Very similar, these panels going around a circle. And I'll show you a couple more of these. There's one that I think looks pretty dead on to it, but these are all kind of cool pictures, aren't they? But look at this. I mean, doesn't that just look exactly like it? So I counted the panels going around, and would you believe there's 18, not 17, 18. So what's 18? 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6, right? So you've got your 666 right there. Why are there 18? Why are there 17, not 18? Perhaps because something goes in the center, and that'll be the 18, the Antichrist in the middle. Perhaps that's what's ultimately going to appear in the center. I mean, we do have, as we know, with Chucky's plume, he does have the 666 with his plume added on to the top of it. But does that not look exactly like those panels that go around? So you can count them for yourself. There's 18 of those panels right there. So I thought, wow, you could literally put the 17 goals on those panels going around. So that's the gateway. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that's what they're pointing to there. And of course, you've got Shiva outside. This is on the same property of CERN, and she's doing her dance at the gateway to the underworld, right? So we're trying to go to the upper world of heaven, and they're trying to open a gate to the underworld and open the abyss. And as we know in Revelation, whether you want to say they succeed or God allows it, but the abyss does open. So something to consider there. But here's Shiva, the destroyer, standing in front of the gateway to hell. Isn't that pleasant? Now, Jesus said to Peter famously, and I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock, two different words, Petros and Petra, I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. Now, I think we can take a bit of solace there, because that's what we're talking about, the underworld, the gates of Hades, right? Isn't it interesting that Jesus was already talking about the gateway in Matthew 16 to Peter? He already knew what these guys are going to be trying 2,000 years later here in these end times, that they would be trying to open this gateway, and that Jesus was giving us comfort, saying, hey, don't worry. The gates of Hades will not overcome his church. And what is his church? His church are the people. That's us. We are the church. So the gates of Hades, guys, is not going to overcome Jesus' faithful. Now, if you're not one of his faithful, now's the time to get right with God. And we can help you do that. Come on over to the fellowship. I'd be happy to help you move in that direction. And also Macau Ministries, I do more straight Bible studies over there. You can check that out as well. But the gates of Hades, guys, will not overcome Christ's church. Isn't that awesome? So they're trying to open this gateway, and it's like he's already given us comfort. He's saying, don't worry. Even when that gateway opens, it will not overcome you, right? And that's what we find out there in Revelation 9, that those who have his mark on their heads are not affected by what comes out of the abyss, right? These scorpions that come out and start stinging everybody, the flying scorpions. What's like flying scorpions? So very comforting, huh? Very encouraging, very amazing that Jesus was already thinking that way. Sometimes we read that, the gates of Hades. Why do we say gates of Hades? Because they're trying to open the gateway to Hades. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to open the gates of Hades. Wow. Blows me away. God always blows me away. Okay, so Matthew 24. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah, Jesus says, right? Wow. So interesting timing this fall time, because we know that Noah, it was the 7th month, right? Am I right about that? I'm going to read it in a second here. But the 17th day, it was the 17th day of the 7th month. Like I say, I'm going to read it in a second. But the point is, that's the days of Noah. We're going into the time period of the days of Noah. And what's also interesting about the days of Noah, I don't know if that was a wink at Noah Harari. I don't think I don't know. But I did do a video called Days of Noah where I talk about actual Noah and talk about Noah Harari. So check that out. But the days of Noah is kind of an interesting concept. What happened in the days of Noah? People were eating and drinking, and they didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden, boom, the flood came and took them all away. So it's going to be instant. It's going to be, suddenly. They'll be saying peace and safety, and bam, right? Just as it happened in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the Son of Man, while people wait patiently in the days of Noah. So there's a lot wrapped up in that phrase, days of Noah, and we're kind of going into that time period. And isn't it interesting if this flood, this new abyss perhaps opening up, this new flood that's happening, Jesus said the end will come like a flood, right? Like the days of Noah. And, we've been in these birth pains, and won't it be interesting how this all unfolds, as the sky rolls back like a scroll, as we're waiting for as well. So as we look here, I was thinking about this number 17. Why 17? And I thought about Noah, the days of Noah. Literally the days of Noah. The day that the flood started was on the 17th day of the month. And the day, and maybe it was November. I confused the months. So you can tell me in the comments. But because I know you will anyway. But the 17th day of the month, right, is one day. And then the day that the ark rested was also on the 17th day of the 7th month. There's the 7th month right there. That's when it rested. I guess that's the one I'm focused on, because that's the good one, when it rests on the mark on the Mount Ararat. But they're both the 17th day, and they're both the days of Noah. Isn't that interesting? So could it be that they're trying to open this portal to bring in their own flood, and they're using 17? 17 was also the day Jesus was resurrected. It's the day they went through the Red Sea. And so very significant in that day 17. But isn't it interesting that's literally the days of Noah were the 17th day. 17th to start it and 17th to end it, essentially. Ultimately, it was the 27th when they finally came out of the ark, but it rested on the 17th day. So very interesting connection there. Also, I thought it was interesting in their own calendar, on the 17th day of August, it says the AI and the transformation of humanity and civilization. Do you want to be transformed into AI? I don't think so. But that's what they're planning on the 17th, so I thought that was interesting. Transformation of humanity. Oh no, I clicked on it. I'm transforming. No! Okay. All right, let's start to wrap this. Okay, if you want to know more about CERN, check out these videos, especially this first one. It's pretty interesting. 666, there's a lot of 666 connections with CERN, and they're exactly 6.6 miles, and I think WEF is at 666 address or something. I don't know. Check it out. It's interesting. I did that like 9 months ago, but check it out. It's interesting. Okay, as we start to wrap it up. Okay, so check this out. And I appreciate Craig shared this with me, but I shared this in the last video because I know a lot of people are focused on September, and hey, that's part of it, okay? It's all part of it, just like this one is part of it. This AI, which you got to realize is a bigger picture, guys. Sometimes we get myopic in our focus. We get really kind of like, well, the mark has to be this or the mark has to be that. It can be a package deal, I mean, Revelation 18 says they were deceived by the poison, right? So it literally says that in Scripture. So there's a lot of aspects to this deception that's happening. And so, yes, will there be something on your right-hand forehead? Most likely, and like I said, it could be that little hadron collider on your hand there, the gateway. This is the gateway that will take us into the new singularity that they want to do, right? So it could be that, but to get that on your hand, you're going to have to take the poison. You're going to have to do a lot of things, right? So it's all goes together, and they can monitor you with those things as well. So anyway, as it says on this, official flyer that they put out, or at least Money Central put out on their behalf, says it is a 3-phase process. Okay, the first phase, and I'm reading this paragraph. That's the bottom paragraph. The first phase is data collection. Isn't that great? They want to know who you are. Why do you think they take a census and ask you all these questions that they don't really need to ask you? It's because they want data on you. Because the more data they have, the more they can control you. So, first phase is data collection. Oh, that ended in March 2023. Did you know that? We already got all your data. The second phase is the technical assessment, and it's underway. Oh, yes. at Bonn, and we'll conclude in September. The second phase, yes. So is that important, September? Absolutely. That concludes the second phase, 2023, with a synthesis report summarizing key technical findings. Ooh, we must know about these key technical findings that they found out about you. They're coming to your door tonight. The third and final phase, is consideration of outputs. Now we execute the plan. See, what they're doing right now is they're implementing the plan. They're all getting on board with the plan, and now it begins. And that will take place at COP of the 28 in Dubai. Bye. So yes, that is the plan, guys. So it's all part of the same deal. They're all working together. We're all in this together. Okay, so appreciate this. Craig sent me this too. As soon as I saw it, now he put this together, but this is a real handshake that took place between Chuckster and the guy who's heading up the COP, and he put it in front of the Dubai location. But I said, "Wow, it looks like wish you were here." He's like, "What's that?" He thought I meant like I literally wished that he was here, which of course I did. But he didn't know about the album, so he just happened to put this together, and it looked just like this. So for you Pink Floyd fans out there, you might know what I'm talking about. But I thought, well, that's interesting. He just happened to put that together. He didn't know anything about the album Wish You Were Here. Is God revealing something without any of us knowing? Well, I looked at Wish You Were Here and didn't spend a lot of time on it. I'm sure more of you could find out stuff about the lyrics and so forth that are interesting. But this stood out to me. The second track on the album is called Welcome to the Machine. Welcome to the Machine. That's what it's called. Wow. I thought, wow, welcome to the machine. How appropriate is that? Because that's exactly what's happening, guys. We are becoming the AI that they want us to be. Welcome to the machine. It's like Neo finding out he's in the Matrix. That's right. Welcome to the machine. You're about to be processed. So I thought that was pretty good. But here's some inspiration. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Woohoo! Shine on, crazy diamond. All right, so let that inspire you. Don't give up. Like black holes in the sun, shine on, crazy diamond. Right, so shine on. Don't give up, you bright lights out there, big city. It starts with shining on, and it ends with shining on. So that's kind of simple, And then they have a cigar, like we finally did it. We implemented our plan. And then you're in heaven saying, wish you were here. Wish you were here. Man, when you get taken and others aren't. Interesting. So you could draw a lot out of those, and I'm sure others will. Look forward to your comments on that. Here's another picture he put together, which I thought was very telling. So it made me think, is UAE the new Babylon? You've got this picture of Babylon, the Tower of Babylon, and then right underneath it you have the Burj Khalifa there in Dubai. And you have to admit, pretty similar. Wow. And considering that the Abrahamic family house of the one world religion is just an hour away from the Burj Khalifa, from Babylon, you kind of wonder, is that the plan? Is that why they're having this COP there? Because it represents the Babylon that they're creating? Now, whether this will actually be a base, I mean, why did they build the Abrahamic family house there of all places? Seems like an odd choice. And just an hour from downtown Dubai in Abu Dhabi. Very interesting. Very intriguing, isn't it? What is happening here? And that is where this COP is taking place. A couple closing thoughts here for you now. So this is their actual site, Expo City, Dubai. They're proud to host the COP of the 28th. You notice all these organizations, they've all sold out to it. They're all promoting this. They're all focused on it. All these flags are going up. I mean, this is it, guys. This is their plan. Now, if you're expecting another Antichrist to come along with another 7-year plan, I don't think you're going to see it. I mean, I don't see how you're going to have, this is it. This is a global world domination plan. I mean, it's, unless they might tweak it, they might alter it a little bit. I mean, maybe the dragon comes on the scene. Well, I'd like to change this and change that, or another beast comes out of the abyss and says, I think that's pretty good, boys, but I'd like to, maybe, but it's pretty much there. I mean, everything you need. everything they need for total tyranny is already built in. So anyway, but this is interesting that it was on this site, this picture here. If you notice it, I'm going to show you a bigger version of it here. But you see that little white picture with like 3 individuals all wearing black? Found that very striking. And here's a bigger version of it. This is on the Wired website. Beyond Expo 2020 Dubai. What's next? Don't you want? And they say what's next, and then they show you this picture of 3 entities all in black in this white room. In the white room with black entities. Bum, 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 bum. I mean, is that creepy or what? So, I mean, the first thing that came to mind was dragon, beast, false prophet. And then Craig said Satan, Black Prince, and Black Pope. Now, I have a video that I've had in the works probably for at least a month, maybe more, on the Black Pope that I keep putting off because I end up doing something else. So, but I am going to get it out for you guys here, hopefully, before it's all said and done, because I got some interesting stuff to share on that. But isn't that creepy? Wow. The 3 men in black, the unholy trinity. There it is, waiting to be unleashed. It's like, this is all they say. They don't even say anything with the picture. It's just like, there it is. Like, what am I supposed to make of that? What am I supposed to make of that? How creepy is that? I mean, they obviously posed for it. I mean, how are you going to get 3 people all in black just standing there? I mean, and then the tallest one's in the middle and the 2 on the side are about the same height. Very creepy, very interesting. Wow. So, just to kind of throw on that with the POPE, here's something for the Laudato Si fans out there who the Pope also has his 7-year plan. It's all the same plan, guys, just so you know. He's just working the religious angle of it. And we'll talk more about that in that video I'm going to do about the false prophet potential here and so forth. But found it interesting on their Laudato Si page. And again, Craig helped me find this one as well because he had some interesting ones about the birth pains, and I thought, man, I wonder if they actually did put one like that. And he showed me this one that was actually on their page. So you've got this pregnant woman, right? I think I have a close up of this picture, and they say, "Give Earth a voice." And you're looking at kind of like, it almost looks like apocalypse. Now, obviously, they've cut some lumber and stuff, but it's like everything's kind of like mowed down, like after like a BOMB went off or something. You got smoke in the background. And then you just have a woman like randomly holding her belly about to give birth. And it says, "Give Earth a voice." It's like, wow. So they're literally pointing to the birth pains also. And they're pointing to the fact that it's about to give birth to the earth. They're going to give birth a voice. Give birth to the earth a voice. So I found that very intriguing also. Here's an interesting film you might want to check out. Got bad reviews from what I saw, but it's probably just propaganda anyway. But are they telling us something here, guys? I mean, in terms of the calendar coming up, says we lost control. Well, yeah, that about says it, right? We lost control to the psychos. And so this guy's walking the streets. And it looks very similar. I did a video on this too. You can check it out on the Line City that's in the desert. That's actually what this looks like, now that I think about it. Where there's like overgrowth going on. I'm not saying that it is, but it's reminiscent of that line city where everybody kind of lives in this line and they have everything growing in there and so forth. It's really just a glorified prison. But very interesting. So are they trying to tell us something with that? So in closing here, here's what their posters say. Very creepy. All year, always online. Like, you'll always be online because you'll be plugged in, you'll have brain chips, and you'll always be online. You'll always be online. I'm online. I can't even sleep. The brain chip keeps me up at night. I'm constantly downloading. I'm constantly being reprogrammed. Always online. They emphasize the on there. What does that mean? Wow. And then once again, same thing. All year, always online. Yes. And you have the face passing through the gateway. So guys, they're taking over the world, as we talked last time about Terra Carta and Astra Carta. That's basically what it is. It's a prison. Those are prison bars that they're putting around the whole earth. Of course, if the earth We don't know what shape the Earth exactly is, but one way or another, they're imprisoning us in it. So, guys, that's the plan. November 30th to December 12th. Look forward to it. Put it on your calendar and pray that you're not here to witness it, because that is going to be a solemn day when it all breaks away. Guys, I want to thank you for your prayers and support. And if you can continue to offer those up for me and my family, I always am grateful for that. And if you do want to help support this ministry, you can do so through the links in the description. And if you could, please share these videos, help more people learn about this channel and what we share. I appreciate you all helping us get to 16,000 subscribers. That's exciting. And if you could share these videos, it just helps more people learn this truth and get it out. And a great way to do that also is by subscribing. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Hey, thanks, Nicole. I just saw that. Woohoo! And thank you, Jeannie, for moderating today. Carol, good to see you. Joshua, Blazing Torch, just calling out who I see right immediately here in the chat. Celia, everything, I'll be all right, looks like. Awesome. And also, if you want to subscribe to our Makayo Ministries channel, that's where we just do straight up Bible study. We appreciate that as well. And also Makayo Music. Sometimes I like to sing. So if you want to check that out, you can as well. I'm going to be in the after video chat for a couple minutes, just if anybody's interested and you had a comment on the video, you just want to come over and say hi, or just want to come see what the fellowship's all about, just stop on by. I'll be here for a bit. Just hit the first link in the description of this video, makayoministries.com, or there's usually another link that sometimes that one doesn't work, and so you got to click on the other link. And if you can't get any of them to work, just contact, write a comment, say I couldn't get your link to work, and I'll give you a new link for that, guys. But guys, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. Oh, yes, I know. So, guys, the time is now. Repent and believe the good news. Time to turn to God so that your sins may be wiped out, that times of refreshing may come from the Lord, and that he may send the Christ. Don't you want him to send the Christ? Do you want to stay here forever? Or do you want to go home to heaven where he's got the rooms prepared for you? Don't you want to go there and hang out while he brings his wrath upon the earth like he promised in Isaiah 26? So now's the time, guys. Turn to the Lord and get right with God so he can send the Christ who has been appointed for you. Guys, I'm loving you. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I'm wishing you all the best and all the blessed, and